Hey Timmy, it's spooky season, but Kind Goods' new location on the hill is treating folks all month long, leading up to an all treats, no tricks Halloween. Kind Goods is opening its doors to everyone in the neighborhood on October 31st, so come check out a modern, welcoming dispensary filled with top quality cannabis, unbeatable deals, and a team that'll make you feel right at home. And while you're there, check out some of the newest treats from Good Taste, or maybe check out some flour that'll keep vampires at bay with something from Daybreak, eh? Make Kind Goods on the Hill your go-to dispensary this month, right here in St. Louis, Timmy Two-Step.
Hey guys, so you do get me this week, but you also get Timmy Two-Step. Round of applause for Tim Pickett, everybody.
Thank you, Brandon.
We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do Greenway Audio Magazine, and we're going to talk a little shop, go over a couple different things. We're going to have some different segments and interviews and guests for you this week. And if you like this more than what we normally do, let us know. If you like it less, let us know that. If you need Tim's home address to Pickett outside the Picketts, boys. But yeah, let's start off just by telling you that today's episode is going to be a little bit different. In our first segment, I sit down with Jonathan Milo of Vibe to discuss the company's expanding presence in retail and the Vibe approach to serving customers. John Milo, CEO and founder of Vibe, how would you quantify what Vibe is at this point? Culture maker?
Yeah.
In Missouri?
I think we're trying to do a little bit all of the above, right? I think it is possible to intertwine passion with medicine, with culture, with safe, affordable product. So I think with the market in Missouri that's kind of happening is there's obviously a lot of consolidation. And unfortunately, for some groups, you have to kind of expand, otherwise you're contracting. So you're kind of almost left with no choice, particularly at the dispensary retail level. So since there's no requirement that dispensaries have to sell a variety of brands, it really boils down to, the 225 dispensary licenses that exist. Whoever possesses those or majority of them can unfortunately sway the market, whether that's positive or negative, right? So I think the groups that have the most balance are invested vertically, but then also have a healthy amount of retail dispensaries to make sure that patients have access to their product, both at their store level, but then reach throughout the entire state. So Vibe's history a little bit is kind of different. We didn't have dispensaries at the beginning. So we had to build a large grow. We focused on top grade product. And, in trying to compete at that level, especially in medical, the plan was to eventually invest in dispensaries over time, but I think the market consolidated faster here, with some groups acquiring a lot more licenses, obviously driving the price up. For those, it made them a little bit more expensive, and they weren't really easy investments to make. The ROI was a lot of cost up front. You may or may not make great sales, and then the profitability to operate those if you took on debt to acquire them was very risky, because you could have a lot of sales, but because of IRC 280E, dispensaries made very little after-tax money. So they were really difficult investments to make. That may change here soon with Schedule 3. I do believe President Trump is going to approve that. I think it's going to be probably announced in 30 days. I think he's strategically planning for it before midterms, obviously for the polling. So for us, we've invested in Kansas City Cannabis. That was more of a partnership where we kind of met, dated, got engaged, then got married, instead of kind of just coming in and writing a check and changing the name and changing staff and strategy. Our dispensary strategy has been a little bit different than most groups. What you've typically seen in the past is somebody buys a set of dispensaries, they acquire them on day one, they write a huge check for them, the staff clears out, they bring in their staff, they change the logo. That has not been our approach. Generally, what we've tried to do is work with groups who who had a good local identity where we did not want to change the brand name. And so Kansas City Cannabis was one that we thought was a great partner. It had good local identity, and there was no need for us to go and change that. Sorry, my cat's here.
Oh, that's cool, man. What's the cat's name?
This cat name is Bebe. So I actually found her on the side of a highway in Atlanta when she was born. But yeah, so she's right here. She's a tiny little one. She only got 3 legs. So, but so with us for Kansas City Cannabis, so we kind of built a partnership with them, and we slowly kind of got acclimated to each other, and we still work with them. But there's no plan for us to change those to Vibe dispensaries. They still maintain their own identity. They still carry our product as their house brand, and then they still work with us with other partners as well. Separately, we acquired the dispensary in the Ozarks called Bud. So that one was acquired in April. That market's a little bit smaller. There are a lot of dispensaries there. That one still is named Bud. And then we also got an appeal license that's being built in Wentzville, which is going to be called Vibe City. The city approved that recently. We tried to put it in St. Charles, but they passed some kind of really tight ordinances that make it almost impossible to operate there. And then lastly, we got appointed as a manager for some struggling dispensaries. So specifically the Heya dispensaries, they went through kind of some rough patches with prior managers where the store sales were not doing good. The cultivation kind of needed some uplift as well. So there was a bidding process for the best fit of who could manage those stores. And they selected folks from Vibe Cannabis as well as Kansas City Cannabis to help manage those stores. We don't own them, but we're managing them, trying to stabilize them, protect those employees' jobs, while also giving variety in a local market in St. Louis that continues to consolidate. And so what happens with some of this consolidation in the market is brands are being pulled away from people that patients like. The demand still stays there, but it's kind of like, well, if I'm only going to offer you this, you're going to probably have to buy it unless you want to travel, to a very far radius elsewhere. So I think that the Heya partnership, which are being rebranded to Vibe dispensaries, which was their preference, that was their idea. They wanted to do that. It's going to probably help give the outlets and shift the outlets towards retail where maybe it's being kind of pulled down at a different dispensary that may have been acquired by a new house brand. So it's kind of a lot of shifting and balancing the market. But we plan, our plan and strategy with dispensaries is to be diversified. It's really about the patient, right? It's on the wholesalers to make good product that the patients want. That's their job. So for us, our philosophy has been a little bit different. It's, if we're the house brand, it makes sense, but we're not going to oversell Vibe or house brand products. Usually the way house brands and dispensaries work is house brands will make about 30% to 70% of your house brand products. So the dispensaries that underperform relative to the average are the ones that are pushing way too much of the house brand because patients like variety. So the better operating dispensaries that get higher sales and see more patients, they're generally doing a house brand of around 30% because it's kind of like, not every wholesaler can grow every strain or make every product. So you have to have variety. If you have too little of variety, they're going to shop somewhere else. So combined with keeping original identities with Kansas City Cannabis and then also helping with, Vibe dispensary, we don't plan to only just have a bunch of Vibe products, although we hit every line. It's really how do we diversify, and then the patients will vote with their dollar. And so it's really just, it's always been patient focus on the wholesale, and we're just carrying that mentality into the dispensary side. And they're no exception to who we work with. We work with groups who are trying to solve the same problems, right? So, hey, what do patients like? What's a good offering? What's a good deal? Where are folks going? Because what we've seen is not every operator has all the intel or the strategy exactly or exactly aligned, or they don't know every single kind of product. I'm not saying those groups don't know that, but everybody has a diversified group. And so we try to partner with them to be like, hey, if you're gonna sell our product, here's why we think it sells, and here's the data that kind of supports it, and here's probably maybe some of the offers that you should make, and here's our opinions on maybe some of these other brands. And so really they're trying to solve, like anyone, is how to create more foot traffic in stores, whether they buy this brand or that brand. So those are kind of more informal. We don't just bring to the table on our wholesale side just our product. Our goal is to help the dispensary partner figure out how to get it in patients' hands. Because if
those aren't traditional partnerships in the sense of there's an agreement and a management contract and things like that.
Nope.
Those are partnerships in the true sense of like, we want to be a better partner to this brand, and
we want to
are offering them assistance in any way we can, essentially.
So it's more like we want to do business together. We want to help your business. So nothing formal. The only one that we kind of work with directly with a contract is Hey Wellness. So, but no, those groups, we support them. They support us. So we try to help them in any way. Same thing with Luxleaf, because Luxleaf is a good example. I think it's still the only minority owned dispensary. So they're just a mom and pop shop, right? So they're one store mom and pop shop. Mike and Adrian are great. So they don't have necessarily all the tools and labor resources and things like that to look at their business from every perspective. And so we try to give that perspective to help make them competitive in a market that's very, very concentrated. So CD1 licenses, I mean, you have a lot of dispensaries in a small geographical area. So how do you get every edge to convince patients to come see you instead of going to the other 40 dispensaries that are in your 10-mile radius, right?
And for them specifically, for Luxleaf specifically, I think there's, if you pull it up on Google Maps, I believe there's like 5 within about a mile or less, and they're all walkable. And then you're also competing, in St. Louis City right now. You're also competing with the unlicensed dispensaries.
Correct.
We'll say.
Correct. Both the street and the facilities, right?
and then you have the hemp cannabis market as well in St. Louis City, which is, we've seen a lot of those type of dispensaries where, they're advertising Delta 9 and THC flower and stuff and saying dispensary on the door, and it's sitting right across the street from, a licensed marijuana dispensary. So, to your point, as much as we talk about market compression and things like that, there are other factors to retail that, especially in high traffic cities, high density cities like Kansas City, St. Louis, parts of Columbia and Springfield, you really see that condensed visibility of licenses sometimes.
100%.
So overall, your retail footprint, or the retail footprint that you're assisting with now, that Vibe is working with, it looks like about 10. It's
about 10. Yeah. So 5 Kansas City Cannabises, 3 Hayas, and then the Wentzville location will be built next year, so that one won't be open until next year. And then the Bud dispensary in the Ozarks. Yeah. So
will Bud ever be rebranded as Vibe?
It's potential. We'll kind of see how it kind of goes, because right now that has a legacy meaning to that prior establishment, but in the name it aligns with cannabis, right? So Bud. Right. But usually we don't try to rebrand unless the dispensary needs it. Right now, there's not an immediate need for it, but I can't rule it out. So I think we're going to wait to see set up Vibe.
I'm just saying
how it goes. Yeah. What's that?
I'm just saying Lake Vibe, or Vibe at Vibes at the Lake.
That's true. That's a good idea. Do I have to pay royalty if I take that?
Nah, man, that one's all yours, buddy. I'm just saying that seems like it might be out there.
It's actually a good one. Yeah. So I think we've got some plays there, but no, I think the Ozarks is a great spot. They've got about 5 dispensaries in that area. I think where Bud struggles a little bit is they're kind of on the other side of the lake, where the traffic comes through on the east side. They're on the west side. So it's more about kind of getting that local residents there. And then it's also it's very seasonal. So obviously summer months you get your pop, and in winter it goes kind of lower and dormant. But we're navigating kind of through it as well.
Now, if I recall correctly, though, the one cool thing about Bud is it's relatively close to the strip, though. Right? Like you come down the strip and then hang a kind of go up towards Bagnall, and then it's like situated right in that pocket, right?
For Bud or for Heyosaurs?
For Bud.
For Bud, yeah, it's on a main like highway. Yeah. So yep. Yeah. So it's that area is not only is it a little bit tricky with the seasonality, the topography of the area, you have to cross rivers and lakes and stuff like that, to where it's not like everything is directly connected. So, and really to get from one dispensary to another, you kind of have to go out of your way. So with that, you have to make the deals and brands more attractive to generate patients. The other thing is it doesn't currently have a drive-through. So if you're not offering those different conveniences of pickup window, drive-through, because each customer likes to shop a certain way. Some people like to go in, some people like to just do pickup, some people like to go through the drive-through. The more of those conveniences that you offer, the more likely you're going to see that patient. And so that infrastructure didn't originally have it because most dispensaries are still in their spot from their medical days. So they were tied to a location at application when everybody was guessing where they should put it up, or they got their friends building on their application. So they're not, all the dispensaries were located today. If you redrew where you should drop them, it would look very different. So based on the data that we know now. And so so that was an original license. All those spots in the Ozarks are the same as original license application, except for like one new one that was a license later. So, but yeah, no, it's an interesting area. It's a fun town. So the three that we were appointed to manage was, and I'll just say Vibe Dispensary's branded on it, but Vibe did not get appointed. I got appointed to help manage the store, but I'm a founder and I run Vibe as well. So the three that were assigned to us were Park Hills, which is south of St. Louis, St. Anne, which is kind of like in the dead center of St. Louis, and then St. Peter's as well. Okay, so so all of those stores were trying to ramp the right offerings that weren't offered there currently, both deli style structure as well as a variety of brands, because they didn't really have those before we got there. And so we're trying to just at least standardize that the menu isn't working the right way. So we're switching the menu providers, updating the graphics, and then hope to offer people and convince them, hey, these brands that we're offering, this is what you're looking for, and it's at a good value. And so I think there's still a lot of upside, but there is also a lot of catching up to do.
Fall is calling, and so are apple spice chews from Curio Wellness. These fan favorite chews are back for a limited time, blending that crisp, juicy apple flavor with just the right kick of warm spice. They're basically autumn in an edible. Whether you're apple picking, peeping at some leaves, or just posted up on the couch in your hoodie with a football game on, that's what I'm talking about. Apple Spice Chews bring the flavor and the fun to every fall moment. And this year, Curio's got something new. Get ready, baby. The 1,000 milligram pack. That's 25 chews at 40 milligrams each. So plenty to keep the fall vibes going. Curio Wellness's 1,000 milligram apple spice chew pack now for a limited time.
Yeah, man, like it's there's been a lot of change in the market, even just since we launched this. Not even since like Greenway or Green Frame or anything like that started, but just since we launched this, there's been a lot of changes in the market. One of the most significant changes in the market has been the revitalized push towards medical focus. Here in Missouri specifically, but it kind of seems like that's branching into other places as well. We've seen some new licenses from Missouri that are being awarded in other states. Some of our license holders are setting up shop in other states. Some of our established brands are now partnering or have licenses in other states. So we're seeing growth even beyond what's inside of our own borders and doors and stuff. we know Show Me Organics, Vivid, we know Amaze are all going to be in Kentucky, Illicits in New Jersey, and Greenlight has operations in multiple states. Like the way that our companies are expanding, the proper merger at the beginning of the year, all of these things just show how healthy our market is and how healthy our companies and our brands are here in this state. And so to see some of those companies like Show Me Organics, Belief, Robust and Feel State, bringing that focus back to medical, Curio, not a Missouri founded brand, but I would say one of the, hallmark brands in the state at this point, especially with that regard to medical focus.
Yeah. But yeah, we just want to say thank you. It's awesome. It's awesome what's going on right now, and we're happy to be a part of it.
Speaking of the revitalized push for medical, you recently did something that we talked about on a previous podcast with Miss Mitch Myers, with Miss Sarah Figueroa.
Sarah Figueroa. I can't speak today. But we went to what is the term now? Elder care facility. Yesterday.
Old folks home,
not our first time. Yeah. And and talked to our elder statesman about the benefits of cannabis.
Now,
and
one question on that is this retirement community living, or is this like hospice assisted living?
Dude, let me just tell you, when I left there, I stopped at the front desk and asked if they were taking deposits, because this place was freaking. It was like Melrose Place, but for people 60s to 100.
That watched Melrose Place when it was on?
Probably. It was so cool. I think it was more of an independent living. Like everybody had their own apartments and stuff like that, but it was a big facility.
That. And
so
that
cool.
seems to be something that's increasingly popular with kind of people that are a little bit older than us. I think it goes back to a lot of people who just lived in apartments their whole lives.
Yes. Dude, it reminded me of at the end of the Grove, that whole complex. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where it's we have friends that live there.
Like Chroma.
And Chroma. It was like that, but for the slightly older generation, but way nicer. Holy crap. I mean, they like just built this thing. Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
I mean,
but
you want to name drop it? Do you remember what the name was?
Vida Benet. Viva Benet. It's in like St. Peter's. So cool. And they invited us and they wanted us there. And before we even started, there was people lined up. It was so cool.
Pergolas and pools and balconies on the apartments.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But it was really cool. And this is the second time we've done it, and no pushback. People are very open. A lot of conversations revolved around, yes, I have tried it. My grandkids gave me something. Like that's usually how it started. But everybody's just looking for pain relief. I mean, to be honest, everybody's, I can't golf anymore. Shoulder hurts, my back hurts, arthritis in my hands. It was just that kind of stuff. So,
I get that.
Talk about,
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just kind of talked about, what benefits, what could help you if you try. So we showed them how to, what products might help them and how to get them and all that kind of stuff. And there's a dispensary, there's a Suede like really close to this place, and they were doing deliveries. So it was just really cool. And they're like, we can order it and they'll bring it here. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it was really neat. And just talking to that generation it's just fun, man. Like we had such good conversations. Everybody's just talking about their kids and their grandkids and what they used to do, and everybody was, I wish I had 40 years back, like It was just, it was so cool. I loved it.
That's the tail end of the boomer generation, beginning of Gen X generation, right?
Right, exactly.
And I mean, those people were partiers, man. Like,
dude,
they had good music. They had Don Johnson and in suits fighting crime on jet boats. There was a whole like mystique of sexy of sexy male cops who, you know, wore Hawaiian shirts and loud patterns and lived in tropical locations. I didn't realize that until you just said that.
Yeah, dude.
Magnum PI, Miami Vice.
PI, dude. Yeah. It's great, man. It was super cool. And I just, it was a good, like, it made me want to do more of that. Not just the cannabis side, but like to go to those places, you know, like I just learned so much, had amazing conversations. And I just, you know, sometimes you leave sad going like, I hope people visit them more often, you know, like just
they're not your grandparents, you know?
Right.
Right. I always think of it, you know, sometimes like George Carlin would be like in his 80s right now.
Right.
He definitely would not be just like sitting around,
like
cracking jokes and stuff like that.
Guy.
Like,
no, you want to talk to him. like these people had great stories. It was fantastic. I gotta admit. But I did also realize they're a lot closer to my age. I couldn't tell if they thought I worked there or had an apartment there.
The old silver fox was on the prowl, eh?
How do you like it here, buddy? That's cool.
I did just look at it, and it's 55 and up is senior living. 55 and up senior living. Viva Benet.
Okay.
If we're mispronouncing that, we apologize. Bean Benet.
Benet
100 Viva Benet Circle, St. Peter's.
55 is senior?
55 plus.
Yeah. Okay. We cut this part.
Pet
jump
friendly.
Out this window. Yeah, dude.
They got a pickleball court.
All that, dude. It was great.
Place looks rad. Cool.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
But yeah, it was really neat
to retire.
Yeah. It was fun. It was a fun experience. That's for sure. So, yeah.
Next up, meet Michelle Carr, founder of Streamline Business Solutions. Michelle sits down to discuss payments in cannabis and her role in helping operators navigate a landscape where traditional banking rules don't always apply.
So you come from payment processing, working with banks and credit cards and things like that to offer businesses, both large and small, the ability to process payments and not have to take cash, essentially, right? Like that's the whole foundation of the whole gist of the business, right?
Yes, you know, it's changed a lot over the years. I don't know how far back you want me to go. I don't want to bore you with my story. It's been about 20 years now, but you know, credit card acceptance really gained popularity in the 80s and 90s. My father actually is the one who got me into this industry. In the 90s, he started working for a large payment processor, learned the industry, and then started his sales office in St. Louis, Missouri in the late 90s. So he was the one who kind of taught me all things payments. And the payments industry is kind of designed like the insurance world or your financial advisor. These large companies rely on independent agents and independent sales offices. They would call them ISOs, independent sales organizations. They would rely on these companies and individuals to bring their products and services to market. And they were all independent 1099 contractors. So I graduated from Mizzou in 2004. And shortly after that, in 2005, I started working with my dad's company and really learning from the ground up the world of payments. So I started off as a 1099 contractor hitting the streets, cold calling, learning, the tough way, lots of things as a young 20-something, and learned a lot about the business. Over the years, I moved up to being a manager, hiring and training a bunch of these 1099 contractors that I talk about, and managing bank partnerships. So your local community banks, you think that they are doing the acquiring, but they really lean on offices and individuals like myself. So I partner with a lot of local banks here in Missouri and Illinois, and we are the payment processing arm for them. So I did that for about 10 years, working with the banks, working with the reps, working with the independent business owner. We do small to mid-size payments. The Walmarts of the world are going direct to the acquiring bank to get the relationship for credit card processing. But the independent business owner needs someone like myself to get them set up and to do the paperwork and to sell them the credit card terminal. Back in the day, you saw all these little credit card terminals sitting around. And when we started our company, our calls were convincing businesses to accept credit cards because a lot of people still weren't doing it. Now it's 2025 and almost every business accepts credit cards. But when I started, the challenge was selling them why they should take credit cards. And now we all know, and in the cannabis world, anyone that has had a credit card acceptance experience, the average ticket goes up, revenue goes up. There's a cost of doing business with accepting, but merchants, business owners came to realize that credit cards were the necessary evil that they needed, and it helped drive revenue. So that's how I started in the industry. And in 2014, my son Max made me a mommy. And then in 2015, my daughter Evie made me a mommy again. So anybody with kids probably understands that, your two kids 16 months apart was a little rough for a while. And I couldn't give my dad's office, after 10 years of building that up and running the operations, I kind of stepped back into being an independent rep again and stayed home with the kids. To help you understand, again, like the insurance world and the financial advisor world, we build a book of business that's residual income. So I was so fortunate after 10 years of building this book of business that I could sit back and just manage it and stay home with the kids for a couple of years. Then in about 2018, 2019, a friend from college introduced me to a large food distributor here in St. Louis and across the nation. And they needed someone to sell online ordering, which was brand new back then. Now it's integrated with point of sale, but it was the first time I really started to sell technology first with embedded payments. So the payments journey for me has changed to where, I started by convincing independent businesses that this is a good thing. You should start taking credit cards, then selling and really competing on rate for a long time. And then it's kind of morphed into selling technology with payments embedded. This was now the world of Square started coming about, aggregators, this different technology, fintech companies got really involved. So my payments journey has always been electronic payments, credit, debit, ACH, ATMs, but the way that looks today is a lot different than it was when it started. So long answer to your question of, yes, my role has always been in electronic payments, and I help independent business owners accept and work down that journey. So when I formulated Streamline Business Solutions in 2019, it's because I continue to make relationships with other companies after that online ordering solution. And so now I am brokering and representing all these large companies, but I'm the local face, so I can give the customer and that independent business owner the support they need, the guidance they need, and consult them along the way.
Well, and you've kind of talked about the overlap with insurance a couple times, and in that way, I don't know how familiar most people are with payment processing outside of the actual action of it, but in that way, you and your business are a brokerage. It's a house of brands instead of just one solution going to sell you this one company or this one solution and say, hey, this will fix all your problems. You have the ability to be more tailored to individual need, business need, type of business, and ipso facto extending into cannabis, which is kind of a mirror of other industries, right? One of the things that I wanted to ask about was, you obviously have this wealth of knowledge and all of this experience, and you're so well versed in the concept of electronic payments and fintech and things like that. That seems to be a place that cannabis, generally speaking, is lacking. And you have the ability to both speak on that intelligently, because you've worked in other regulated industries. Cannabis, despite what most of us think, is not the first industry to ever be heavily regulated and have rules about what you can do and what you can't do and things like that. And that seems to be what's endearing you and making you valuable to the companies and banks that you're working with in the cannabis space, right?
Definitely. I think Visa and MasterCard are our governing bodies, and they follow what's federally legal, what the federal government does. So because of that, traditional banking and processing has been a challenge for the cannabis industry. You know, years ago, we had, when e-cigarettes became popular, and then CBD, those were more in the high risk. There, some traditional banks and acquiring banks would touch it in a high risk, but because it wasn't FDA regulated at that point, the acquiring banks have their risk is chargebacks. So you've ever seen that American Express commercial where the guy accidentally ordered 1 million tennis balls, and they're like, "It's okay, I'm just going to call my American Express and they're going to return it for me and give me my money back." So that's a chargeback. If you are unhappy with your product or service, you as a consumer, your credit card company has promised you that they'll take care of it. So what happens in these industries with the credit card companies is, for example, when e-cigarettes became very popular, but were not FDA regulated yet, well, if that particular industry, FDA, comes out and says, we found something bad, no one can smoke e-cigarettes anymore. Well, now all of these customers are going to call their credit card company and say, "I want my money back from that purchase I made 4 months ago." And now everyone's doing all these chargebacks. And if the company, the merchant, the business owner doesn't have the money in their bank to handle those chargebacks, or they go out of business, the acquiring bank and the processor is stuck holding that loss and holding that back. So that's, a lot of people don't really understand the acquiring and the issuing and the whole process that goes on with accepting credit cards. You have your acquiring bank, you have Visa, MasterCard, who are the advertisers, and then you have the issuing bank who issues the consumers. Well, when business owners pay percentage rates for processing your credit card, that issuing bank actually gets the majority of the dollars. All of these people play in the role of credit card acceptance for merchants. And so it gets a little sticky, especially in the world of cannabis when it's not federally legal. Most of those big acquiring banks don't want to touch it because the risk is too high for them. So when I started learning about this hardship in cannabis and payments through some of my banking partners here locally that heavily work with cannabis, I'm a mom, I'm a woman, I'm a business owner, I'm a problem solver. So I'm like, I've been in payments for 20 years. I can solve this problem. So I start down the rabbit hole of really understanding the pain points that the dispensaries were having, what they've done in the past, what they were promised, what's happened to them. And I came in about a year or two after they've already had some really bad experiences. And so I was trying to kind of advise. And that's my favorite thing really to do at this point in my career. After 20 years of working with independent business owners, I know they wear so many hats and they're so busy. And especially in the cannabis world, they're putting out fires every day. They have all this regulation. They have so many things weighing them down that I want to be their advocate. I'm their quarterback. Use me as a free resource because I get paid by these large processors that you choose to work with. I'm a free resource. Use me to understand. And because I broker for multiple, so as I started looking at the cannabis options, again, these companies, just like traditional payments, they rely on independent reps and offices to bring their solution to the local markets. So I went and found, okay, you go to a trade show and there's 1,000 names of different credit card ATM companies, cashless ATMs, but really in the end, there's only 2 or 3 players, and they're all just representing these companies trying to bring it to market. So I've gone to these different companies, developed relationships with them, and have contracts now to sell their services. So when I meet with a dispensary, I'm not just selling one solution. I can say, hey, here are all the options. Let's see what's best for you and your business model, your risk tolerance. I want you to understand why this isn't like going to the coffee shop and what you can do about it, and understand that process. Because a lot of times they're just frustrated, but they don't understand why it's been such an issue. So I kind of bring that to light and help them understand. And, a lot of times maybe there are contracts, they have high early termination fees. They don't know about certain solutions. So that's really my role and what I enjoy doing and how I like to help.
What are some of the things that dispensary owners and operators are currently doing that is either costing them money or putting them at risk that they're not aware of?
The only thing that I'm a real hard no is falsifying your business information or your MCC code. There are some companies that will try to do a traditional merchant application. Like if you own a coffee shop, I have to write a merchant application. Again, kind of like the insurance world, there's an underwriting process. I take your business name, I say the MCC business code for coffee shop, I get your bank account information, your ownership information, your tax ID, and then you have to get approved to accept credit cards. That's at the coffee shop. There are some individuals who will try to do that on a traditional merchant account and say that you're a pharmacy, say that you're something that you're not, to try to get their traditional credit cards. That is the only thing I'm a real hard no against, because once you get found, you'll get shut down. And then when federal regulation happens and you can take credit cards like the coffee shop, you won't be able to, because you'll be on blacklist for all of the acquired banks if they find out that you have falsified information like that. So that's the one hard no that I would say don't do. Everything else lives in the gray. So cashless ATMs have been around the longest, and I think is what the majority are using today. There have been issues throughout the years where they've been shut down, but they're operational again. The way those work is that it rides on the ATM gateway and rails and networks to get approvals, opposed to Visa and MasterCard rails. And that's how that's continued to work and be an option for them. It's not the best option. It's not the cleanest option. You have to round up. You're not running a transaction to the dollar. There's a fee to your customer. There's a fee to you. But it is a digital transaction on a debit card that has worked for a long time. Credit card solutions come and go. I think there's actually 2 right now that are up and running and have been very successful. My advice is that they probably won't last forever, but in most of them, they're not falsifying the information. They're actually aggregating it almost like a Square would, where a Square is the merchant of record and running the transactions for you, and it's not under your name as a dispensary. So that's a great workaround. It's so great how technology, these companies are so inventive, and they find how to use technology for workarounds to help the business owner accept electronic payments, because that's what people want to use. They want to tap to pay. They want to use their debit card. They want to use their credit card. That's what they're used to. That's what we've trained them as a society, how they process and how they work when they're out purchasing things in the world today. So I know as a business owner that's what they want. And so there are a lot of inventive ways to try to get as close as you can to that.
We've seen over the past few years some of the largest companies in the cannabis space that are dealing with payments have massive shutdowns, have times where maybe it's a day, maybe it's multiple days, where they're unable to service all of these dispensaries that they're working with. And in some cases, they have huge market saturation rates, which means that there's no electronic payments in nearly any dispensary in the state at sometimes. Why, to a layman, why is that happening? how do dispensaries prevent that from happening?
Sure. So what's happening because the infrastructure and the solutions we're using weren't built for this. The ATM network was built for ATMs to process until the amount of money that can be stored in an ATM is gone. So when you're using those ATM rails, and I know there was on 420 a couple years ago, there was a large disruption in a point of sale, the cashless ATM solution. You're using this technology that was built 20, 30 years ago for ATMs. And when you have an influx of these many transactions that no ATM could ever hold that amount of money, right? It can sometimes crash their servers and crash their network because it wasn't built to do that. Dispensaries, we're getting more and more every day, right? More and more locations, more and more. There's only so many ATM networks. There's only so many providers. There's only about 3 of them out there. And eventually, I don't know the infrastructure of how they build the servers on the back end, but I'm curious as the volume continues to increase, if they can be supported. There's nothing a dispensary owner can necessarily do because even the ATM providers don't even know until it happens, right? These things, it's technology, right? Your phone, your computer. I get wonky things happening in my computer all the time. Why is it happening? It's technology. We love it when it works. We hate it when it doesn't. So there's always that risk because yes, I'm not there yet, but I hear it's like a teenager. So we're using systems that weren't built for what they're doing. And it's a roundabout way of doing things. So nothing's going to ever work perfect, right? I think where I come in is have someone that could be your advocate. Have someone, let me give you an example, bringing it back to the insurance world. My husband 2 days ago rear-ended a lady down the street from us. He has a habit of doing this. And I get a text with like a random code. I'm like, what is this? He's like, oh, it's for insurance. I rear-ended somebody. I'm like, oh, goodness. He texted his high school buddy, who's our insurance agent for our home and auto. And he was talking with his buddy to help him through it, right? Well, that was a much better experience than calling the 1-800 number on the back of our insurance card, right? So it's the same solution, the same carrier, but he's got a buddy who can text him and help him out through the bad times and the good times, whatever that might be. So I'm the buddy. I'm your go-to. You text and email me, hey, Michelle, my terminal's down. What's going on? You're probably not going to get through to anybody on the 1-800 number, but I'll have an insight and I'll say, hey, this is what's going on. We're working on it. And I am your go-to person. Again, I am your local agent. I am your local person there to support and quarterback all these issues for you. I got a call from a customer the other day up north and, hey, can you help me do something about my bud tenders keep twisting the terminal back and forth for the PIN number and it's worn off the charger and they won't stay charged. So I initiated a free swap of terminals for him. And I took his old ones and I said, I'm going to go down to Best Buy. I'm going to see if I can get a different charging port or a swivel base so this doesn't happen again. Obviously, you're not going to get that kind of attention if you're calling the 1-800 number from any of the processors. So they all have local people like us to sell it. I'm not going anywhere because I've been doing this for 20 years. Use us as a resource. I always say there's not a lot of differentiation of payments. To be honest, that was my biggest battle for the first 10 years in the industry is it's a commodity. Everyone's just trying to get the lowest rate and we all had the same cost. And so it was just a battle of basis points back and forth to try to get the business. And all we really could at that time, and I still believe in selling now, is people. There's not a lot of difference in payments, but there's a big differentiation in that payment experience. And I believe people make the difference in that experience.
Have you tried the new Pinpoint disposables yet? They're seriously smooth. They're so small they fit in that little coin pocket in your jeans. They're easy to use and they hit just right. And whether you're trying to chill or vibe or take things up a notch, these compact-sized vapes bring the flavor and the effects without any hassle. Just grab one, take a hit, and you're good to go. They're perfect for when you're on the move or just kicking back, and they're definitely worth checking out. And if you want to check out more about Pinpoint vapes, check out pinpoint-extracts.com. It's that time of the year when
It
I
is.
just like to remind people that No one is giving your children candy for free. They will give your children candy for free at Halloween. No one is giving your children edibles for free at Halloween.
No.
Edibles
Don't
are
worry.
expensive.
They are. And what are you going to give them?
and
One at a time?
On
No one's doing that, dude.
hand out 1,000 milligram tsunami bag to every kid that comes to your door.
No one's doing that.
No one's
It's
doing
like the razor
that.
blade thing. Remember when we were kids, the razor blades? It's going to be razor blades.
I will say, took my kids trick-or-treating, I think it was last year or year before.
Yeah.
And one of our cool neighbors, I've done this a couple times before. The kids like trick-or-treated a lot. I used to do this whenever they were like done by 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we used to hand out candy and stuff. But we've got cool neighbors again. They have the cooler cracked open. Kids come up, they get the candy. Cooler for the parents. Grab a beer. Grab a.
That's
what are
cool.
those? What are those? They look like Capri Suns, but they're like daiquiris or whatever.
Oh,
I don't remember what they're called.
Oh, that's
they're
cool.
in like the little slushy pouches.
Yeah, the slushy. Yeah. Okay.
So
that's a great idea.
Nobody's giving edibles to the kids, but swing by old Brando's house. May have some pre-rolls for the parents, because there's nothing better than smoking a joint while you walk around behind screaming kids for 3 to 4 hours in pitch darkness.
Brandon, do you know what I did last year?
Put some reflective strips on your kids so you don't leave them, and just get super comfy walking. Have a good time. What did you do last year, Tim?
I never thought I'd get here, but I mean, hell, if I'm close to senior citizen, I turned the lights off and I sat in the basement and watched TV. I mean, I did a little bit of the kids, they're older, they're doing stuff. Mm-hmm. I think my wife had something at somebody's house, and I can't remember if there was a game on. There was something I wanted to watch, and I had the house to myself, so I was like, I'll do the bowl thing. You put the bowl out. 2 minutes later, it's gone, smashed against your door, whatever. So I did the bowl thing a couple times, filled it, and then I was just like, I'm gonna do it. Lights off. Close the blinds. Go in the basement.
What time was it, at least? Was it at least like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that, maybe, where it was
I don't
mostly
know,
wrapped
man.
up
I think
anyway?
there was a 7 involved.
The sun was barely down, and you're just like, just not even gonna turn the porch light on because
half the people show up while the sun's up, and you're like, I'm not ready. Like, you got to prep. You got to get the dogs out of the way.
I do wonder sometimes, like, how the parents that have their kids dressed and ready and on the street at like 5:01.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, I work from home 90% of the time.
Pulled up.
And my kids are not ready. How the hell did you do this? You have a real job. I know you. I've seen where you work.
Yeah.
How did you manage to show up at 5:01?
Right. No.
Wild.
I did, however, get candy already, because that's the problem. Is I get it too late, and it's the crappy stuff, and it's super overpriced. So I went to Aldi the other day and got a big, huge bag of something, and I just stuck it.
Whoa! You went to where?
Aldi. I know it's Aldi, but I listened to this podcast, and Aldi's really big in Europe, and they call it Aldi.
You had me like full fucking like, is he Bert Kreischer'ing this right now? Is he like, because I listen to that dude's podcast all the time. He's always mispronouncing stuff, but one of the big ones is he says tattoo about tattoos. He says tattoo. And it's so cute and wonderful, and I love it. But whenever you were like Aldi, I was like, come again for Big Fudge? What? A pardon?
Aldi. Yeah.
While we're talking candy, so you got candy from Aldi. Man, that is gonna stick with me all day.
Yeah, dude. Yep.
You got candy from Aldi. What candy did you get?
It was just a smorgasbord of candy, like the Snickers, the Twix and all, like a good big bag. And I was just like, this is the one bag I'm getting. Because usually by the day before, it's like suckers and like little, like nothing good. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's like shake.
It's all the stuff that you would get from a bank or an insurance office.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Banker candy.
Yeah. Yeah. So
For
these
people
really
that
good
don't
ones.
enjoy joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So we're not handing out gummies. No one's handing out gummies. Okay. We're not doing that.
Nobody's giving your kids infused gummies.
No.
I might give you a pre-roll if you swing by the house.
Yeah, dude.
I usually have. We tip our drivers with pre-rolls a lot.
Get out of here.
Oh, it's such a good idea. Like guerrilla marketing at its finest. And the drivers, like you get to know them whenever they deliver stuff to you on a regular basis, sure. Some of your favorite restaurants and DoorDash. And so back in 2020, got to know a lot of our drivers really, really well.
Sure. Yeah.
And since I am a beacon of compliance and I refuse to, I really am. I refuse to do anything. I refuse to do anything non-compliant. I would tell people all the time, but I would never share anything with them because I had my medical card and stuff.
Yeah.
But I would always give them advice, and I'd always tell them what the new thing that was out was, what they should look for and stuff. So flash forward, and adult use comes around, and shout out to my boy Homer. He is our delivery driver from Jimmy John's here in Jeff City. He is awesome. Just one of the nicest dudes you've ever met. Is always super nice to my kids and stuff. And we had the discussion that he smokes a little bit and stuff like that. So he showed up, dropped off the Jimmy John's order one day. I was like, hey, man, adult use passed. He's like, yeah, I saw. I was like, no, that means I can give you some of this now. And he goes, what?
Gift
and
you.
I was like, yeah. I was like, this is a gift. Here you go, man. Try this. I was like, here's an Amaze pre-roll. Here's a head change pre-roll. I think it was Safe Bet. But gave him 3 or 4 pre-rolls, told him what each one was, and was like, let me know which ones you like, which ones you don't like, stuff like that.
There you go.
And what I've found is that those dudes will genuinely like come back with notes. They'll be like, oh, so the one you told me was this. I really like this. This is how it affected me, how it impacted me. And for somebody that doesn't smoke a ton of flower, that's one of the best ways to get feedback and stuff, because we've talked so many times about how different body chemistries and how different people react to different things. So being able to give people things and see different reactions to it, but also not have the like lingering, looming over them expectation of like, hey, smoke this right now in front of me so that I can see you enjoy it type of thing.
Right.
You're just, and honestly, like it 2 or 3 pre-rolls comes out to a pretty damn good tip, $10-15. So
pretty damn good time too. Dude, that's great idea.
And if you get like the dealer's choice, like 14 pack, it's 14 1-gram joints. It's like $100, but each one of those is basically just like a little $5-10 tip.
Yeah.
And people love it, dude.
Interesting.
Make sure they're over 21. Make sure you know who you're giving it to and stuff.
Yeah,
but we're adults now. We get to do things like that. Like I used to give the lawn guys beer whenever they'd finish the lawn, or the construction workers that are male guy gets a rock star. Actually, our male guy gets a bag of Caldi's coffee for Christmas every year.
Nice.
So we stuff it in with a little
I
note
love
to
it.
him. But
we whenever I used to have a car that was in the shop all the time, and so when they would work on it, I'd have pizzas delivered up to them as a thank you for continually dealing with my car, and they loved it.
Oh yeah, and it can be cheap pizza. It can be Little Caesars.
Dude, whatever.
But,
like You know how good pizza
if you
tastes
show
when
that
you're working on cars all
appreciation,
day?
especially I do the same thing whenever I get my car detailed. Because there's like 7 different people. I never interact with most of them, so I'm not gonna
Yeah, you don't even
just tip the guy behind the counter and be like,
Pizza.
here's 10 extra bucks. So
Yeah.
it's like, I spent $30 on pizza. Here you go. Like, now
exactly.
everybody.
Totally worth it.
Oh yeah.
Get some smiles. People are like,
joy
hey,
into
thanks,
other
man.
people's life.
Yeah, man. That's what it's all about.
The world in general is never negatively impacted by you being happy and making other people smile. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter what else is going on.
Yeah.
If you can make the people in your 5-foot vicinity just a little bit happier for the time you're there, then you're doing a good
It's
thing.
free. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Smiles are free.
They are.
And
Takes
yours
more
is
energy
great.
to frown. Yeah, thank you. So let's hey, I forgot I wanted to tell you this. I was speaking with somebody yesterday who is in the industry, and they were like, so what have you been up to? And I was like, oh, you know, da, da, da. And I brought up the podcast. And I just started talking about the podcast and everything. And this person goes, oh, I listen. I had no idea. And I go, oh, you do? And this person goes, yeah, I love it. And I go, what do you like the most? And he goes, your commercials.
Your
What do you mean? He goes, your ad reads are awesome. I was like, okay, yeah.
My favorite part is when you guys don't talk.
Yeah, when you guys. I was like, okay, that's interesting. So yeah, this is going to be a cool episode. We're going to be getting into a different segments. You know, some parts from MJ Unpacked, some stuff, interviews you've had. So it's going to be a nice little episode here.
Gonna be a little palate cleanser. If you've had too much of me and too much of Tim and not enough ads recently, this is the episode for you. Hey, I know you're busy. I got one thing that
Tell me.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask.
Yeah.
What have you been listening to lately?
Oh my gosh, great question. I've just been so into the new Deftones. I've been listening to that band President like crazy.
New album just dropped.
So good, man.
Last couple weeks, yeah.
It's so good. Those are the two I've probably been listening to the most. And this is such a stupid guilty pleasure, but it brings me back. There's a new Limp Bizkit song.
No, not a guilty pleasure. A number 1 hit, a number 1 single from Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
clearly
we're not the only ones.
It's good. It's called Making Love to Morgan
Wallen. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's so good, dude.
It is really
I just turned it on and I'm like, oh man. Who knew that you could really like Limp Bizkit and be very close to checking into a retirement home?
I think everybody that likes
living
Limp Bizkit,
effing proof.
Everybody that likes Limp Bizkit. I will also throw out AFI's got a new album getting ready to come out.
AFI?
Yeah.
Fire Inside.
So they've dropped 2 new singles over the last like month or so. They've got a new album. But outside of the music, if you ever just want to be like, what's it like to get older? Just go look at the evolution of Fred Durst and the evolution of Davey Havoc. Because Davey Havoc currently looks like the bastard son of Frank Zappa.
Dude, he looks. He showed him.
He pulls it off.
Showed him to my wife because we were big AFI fans, and I go, "Who do you think that is?" She's like, "I have no idea."
No idea.
Like, that's Davey Havoc. She's like, "Get out of here," because he was the opposite of what he looks like now.
Davey Havoc
the
was the most
opposite.
beautiful man in the
Beautiful,
world for over a
feminine,
decade.
punk rocker, gothic, just awesome.
And now he looks like my friend Chris Griffin whenever he grew out his porn stash and used to walk around winking at people.
Yeah, he's like a a guitar player for like a Skinner cover band. It's crazy. But
Fantastic.
I love it.
Looks great.
Love it. Still love it.
Yeah. That's what it's like to get older though, guys. You look at Fred Durst and Davey Havoc and you go, what's it like to get older? And you go, oh, those two guys are ready to go party at what was it called? Belvina?
Viva Bene.
Viva Bene. Yeah. Let me rewind that back. You look at Fred Durst and Davey Havoc and you're like, those two guys, they're getting ready to go party at Vive Bene.
Yeah.
I promise they're not a sponsor. Like they may be in the future if they hear all this, but as of right now, I'm just really enjoying talking about it.
Let me tell you, I'm not kidding. I asked him if I could put a deposit down. I didn't realize I was that close, but I was thinking I was 20 years away. Apparently I'm not. But yes, it's awesome. I'm looking forward to that era.
I'm gonna leave you with 3 Halloween candy thoughts.
Okay.
Spinello has a new blueberry gummy. Okay. It's made by the team that does Smokies and stuff, but it's kind of their next level.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
Okay.
Wild has a THCV kiwi flavor.
Ooh, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I think I've talked about it before, but I just got another new package the other day. The Groon head change collab is just out of this world good.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah. So if you're going to give out gummies to trick-or-treaters that are over the age of 21, pick one of those 3. If you're going to give out candy to trick-or-treaters under the age of 21, Reese's has little skeletons.
What?
And they have little skeletons.
You had me at skeletons.
And instead of just being coated over the top of peanut butter, it is peanut butter inside of a candy shell. So whenever you bite into the skeleton, there's a little crunch to it, but it's not like rice or anything like that. It's hard. The chocolate is hard instead of mushy and smushy and stuff. The best chocolate to peanut butter ratio of any Reese's of all time.
Okay. Yeah. I kind of want to look into that. Yeah. I'm on a sugar-free diet here recently.
I mostly don't.
I will break it for that. For
I
a
mostly
skull
don't eat.
Reese's.
I mostly don't eat candy, but I will fuck with Reese's.
Dude. Oh my god, so good.
Peanut butter is really peanut butter anything. I think we've had the discussion about how much I like peanut butter and jelly, but pretty much anything peanut butter I'm here for. Hey, right, you are an incredibly important and handsome man. I know you've got
same, buddy.
Got to get out of here and get back to kicking on down the old dusty trail. But thanks for taking some. This is a passion project, and we only talk to people we want to.
Oh,
so I'm really glad you were here,
Brandon. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, bud. It was good to see you. I love you.
But before that,